Hello, everyone. I'm Heidi, and this is Foresta. I am a psychic and medium, and I also do spiritual guidance with my clients. And Foresta, in a nutshell, is a badass relationship coach. Um, Mentored by Debbie Ford. I just feel it's important to mention that. I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, that's kind of a big deal, you know? Yeah, so welcome to those of you who are watching. And if you're popping on and you want to comment, please feel free to do that. We would love to hear from you. Give us a wave, whatever. Just let us know that you're here. Um, Maybe if we could have some actual like live interaction, that would be fun too.
Yeah.
So so hello to you, my friend.
Hi, darling. How are you?
You know, today's a better day.
Okay.
Today's a better day. As you know, I've had a rough couple of days, and I was thinking about it. I do think that the heat does play a part in it for me. I really I'm aware of my tolerance of it, and my tolerance is like this. Because in Philadelphia today, it's about 95 degrees.
With the like feels like more than 95.
And it feels like as I shared with you before, I probably check the weather app more than any other app on my phone a million times a day. And it said that it feels like, because always gives a temperature, and then it feels like 101.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, can't do, won't do, don't do, right? All the things.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been working on just staying cool, and like for most of the day I didn't have any clothes on, just because even in the rooms that I have the air on, it's still so hot, because the building that I live in, it was built in 1865. It doesn't have any insulation. So it really gets toasty in the summer, cold anyway. But I still love it because I just love the
Yeah.
architecture of it. So how are you faring in this?
Okay. I mean, AC is on in the house. We had a lovely lunch with Richard's parents today outdoors at our Regal Beagle over here um, across the parking lot. And I really just like got as much coolness as possible. So I got the text that was like, we're sitting outside. And I was like, okay, let's go. There is a breeze off the water. The
Mm.
water's a little cooler. So you're getting a little bit of AC. I mean, maybe from 96, it feels more like 88, right? So it's something. And they have umbrellas, so there was shade. And I actually think it was mindset. I wouldn't do that all the time. It was a very special reason to endure the heat. But there's this mindset like, okay, cool. It's an hour in the shade with a breeze, having a great meal with people I really love. So it was kind of cool to be like, I can do it, but there better be a damn good reason.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, I'm watching my energy for my clients for my
Hmm.
day. Um, in high performance, there's the neuroscience of how we feel in the moment is cofactored by 72 hours previous.
Oh.
What you eat, how you sleep,
Hmm.
um, how much heat you've tolerated, I think is a key one, right? For people, it becomes cumulative. They get crankier on day 2 or 3 of a heat wave. They don't realize that our present moment is biologically the last 72 hours.
Right.
But the upside is like if you're in a bad mood, you could like go have a shroom shake or go do something and change the equation,
Hmm.
right? Like when people are hungover and stuff. Um, but I know for me, the most important thing I can do as a CEO is manage my energy.
Yeah.
So to me, that's where I'm like, thank God for the AC. Because when I go into the rooms that we have the AC off, since we're not in them, it is like a little sauna.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah,
That's
I'm
depleting. It's just depleting.
oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's completely it literally wipes me out. Literally wipes me out. So, um I think I've shared with you that I have 3 ACs and they are in 3 separate rooms, and I have each room closed off by either a curtain or a door. And for economic purposes, I don't want to necessarily have all 3 on. I've never had all 3 on, and I don't need to have all 3 on at the same time. But I do like during the day because I'm in and out of the kitchen getting water or a snack, and then I work in my living room in the summertime. I do often like to have my kitchen AC on and my living room, and I get, kind of like, oh, it's going to be really expensive, and it is. But I'm also like, Heidi, if you don't, just to stand, literally to stand in the kitchen and refill my water and add ice to it, just standing for 3 or 4 minutes, I am I am downpouring with sweat in that short amount of time. And I'm like, it's just not worth it.
Well, then it's expensive in terms of your life force
Yes.
energy.
That's the right. So what's the payoff? Um, so I'm just like, I'm sucking it up and I'm gonna do hard things. I'm gonna do this. Um, because it's worth it to me.
It is, and everyone has their priorities, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know for us, generally we don't use the AC. If it's in the 70s, even the mid low 80s, there's enough of a breeze off the water, the windows, the fan, it all works.
Yeah.
I hit a limit after 85 in the house where I can feel that wilting, deflating energy, and I've grown to become unapologetic about, like, at that point we're taking care of ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, I guess for me too, it's, I'm learning from Richard, like, environmentally, the AC is not great for the earth. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, we'll choose limited days to use it. Like, I feel okay about that. You know what I mean? I feel okay about, this is an interesting conversation, like where we honor Mama Gaia and where we honor ourselves and that dance.
Right. Right. And I think at the end of the day, Mama Guy wouldn't want us to suffer. I, that's kind of where I am. I'm like, we're not like that's not the kind of suffering that I think the universe wants for us. You know,
Yeah.
um,
And then the
because
offset, like you can offset, right?
yes,
I used
yeah,
to, at least in finance, print so many bank statements and credit card
mm,
statements and tax statements, and, all this paper printing out. Um, and once the pandemic hit and I was home and it was like, do I buy a printer? I want to have a printer in the house, because it was always at an office.
hmm,
And it was like, no, you know what? I'm going to go through the learning curve of having all the bank statements digital, and I have to scroll a little and I don't get to, like, mark things right way you would on paper. But it was my way of being like, I work for 8 organizations and I'm not going to get a printer and start printing at home.
yeah,
Those are the places I try to offset. Or we
yeah,
got a soda stream. We used to get all these plastic bottles of
hmm,
seltzer, and we love seltzer in the summer. And so instead we got the soda stream, so we're not using a bunch of bottles, we're just using our filtered water to make carbonated water. So it's like, okay, here I need this, but, like, maybe it's a bargaining, but it's like, okay, but Mama Gaia, I'm gonna give you, like, less paper usage,
hmm,
but I definitely need the AC.
right.
Right?
It's all
Yeah,
a balance.
and, like, where you feel at peace with that,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So I'm curious. I know we checked in a little earlier this week, but how is your world right now? What's alive for you?
Mm. So, well, I think I shared with you that I did a personal retreat with a friend over the weekend, and we delved a little bit more into the four agreements.
Ah, yes. Amen.
So incredibly yummy, and I can't even say enough about it. And interestingly enough, and not a coincidence, one of the kind of repeat mantras that's been recycling for me over the last several weeks and then over the weekend several times was slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. And when I met with Lindsay, I mean, we're meeting every week, but in a recent reading, uh, that it came up. She's like, that's something to really pay attention to. I'm like, and I really thought I had gotten it. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that. I'm doing that. I'm so not slow enough, you know? And she even shared with me, she said, so here's what's going to happen if you don't. Like, this is how that will rear its ugly head. Like, this is what will come up for you. And sure enough. And I'm like, there it is. There, I mean, it couldn't be any clearer. And I'm like, okay. And then I began asking myself, I'm like, well, how much slower do I need to go? Right?
Ooh, that's a gorgeous question. How
Thank
much
you.
slower? I'm already slow and steady, but how much slower?
How much slower do I need to go? And apparently I need to go the way that, so my interpretation of it is slower than a turtle. Because what I'm aware is happening is that, and this is happening in all the facets of my life, in relationships, in how I'm taking care of myself, how I'm managing this, what I'm like, literally across the board. What has come up is that in every situation, it's I'm getting the message in one way or another that, okay, you moved that piece too quickly. You moved that too far ahead too quickly. And I'm like, okay, all right. I'm hearing that. I'm getting it. I'm not there yet, but I'm like, okay. I'm I I feel um I feel like I'm more confident about understanding what that means for me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a practice. And I know that I will mess up again and it's okay, and to come back to the message that keeps coming up, which is slow and steady. So, oh my gosh, that has been, and this increase in temperature, this higher, 94 feels like 101 temperature, that has also been, I'm like, I can't run. First of all, I don't run marathons, period.
Yeah.
But like, I I know that I even walk slower in this heat. Like, I just do everything slower. So this was a reminder,
Mm.
like an obvious physical, environmental reminder that this is, you're meant to go slow here, Heidi.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you're listening. You're listening to that. Can I ask
Yeah.
a follow-up question? Because I'm
Yeah.
just curious. I'm relating here. Um, do you have a sense of what that part of you is that does things ahead of spirit? Like, like when you say, I did that too fast, or I did that.
Hmm. So your question is, do I have a sense of what that is?
That part of you that might do it like
That
ahead of divine schedule, maybe.
Of course. Oh my gosh. Yes, of course. And I will share with you, it's because I think I'm right.
Right. My way is better.
My way is better. I know better. I'm right. So I'm going to do this. I mean, it's just, and it works against me every time. Every time. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's kind of this humbling
it is.
living meditation.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Humbling in the best way that's kind of like, oh, I'm actually held. I don't have to rush it.
Yeah. It is really humbling. And it's a gift. It is a gift because even though I don't know what the bigger message is, because I know there's always a bigger message coming, and that always comes after I learn how to after I learn how to do the thing, right? Um, but I won't get that until spirit really there's when spirit says, okay, Heidi has this, she's moving forward in it, she's got it, she's doing it. Now I can lay it out for her and let her know what's going on. I mean, that's how I get my information.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to hear what I need to hear if I'm moving at a faster pace. It's just, it's innate. It never happens.
Mm,
Yeah. So it's not the first time I've been here, but it feels a little bit different, but certainly.
a little deeper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having me curious about, a friend recently sent me a quiz called the Human Design. Never had really heard of it. I
Mm-hmm.
should say I heard people talk about it, but I just figured it was like another training thing that I hadn't gotten through. And, it pretty much goes by your birthday. So it feels curiously astrological in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all it asks for. And what was really interesting was learning the different types of energies, right? So they had like the generators, which is like the people who can like hustle muscle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 70% of the population, it's the worker bees,
Mm-hmm.
the people that can go, 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 which I often try to do. Like, I
Mm.
often, having been influenced by the American society, like try to hustle, right? But my human design came out as the projector, like the guide, the seer, the the person who sees the highest potential but needs
Mm-hmm.
calm, slow space to do that in. And it landed so much because in the morning I'm fiercely protective of my energy. It's like snuggle me and then go away. Like I want the snuggles, but I don't want conversation. I don't want any input. I want to meditate, because in that liminal space, which I think you have more access to probably throughout the day than I do, I get intuitive hits. I get visions of friends or clients or some cool idea that would never come to me
Mm-hmm.
when I sit with a pen and paper and try to strategize, right?
Mm.
Like from the neck up, sort of.
Right. Right.
It's literally like me in this dreamy state having this eureka, or this like, I should check in with that person. And that day, like, that person really needs me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get that download if I'm not still and calm and quiet
Mm.
and allowing some real spaciousness. So, all that to say, it becomes really precious because I don't know how to do it all the time. It's kind of how I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And it just has me curious about, like, oh, how cool would it be if I could access that throughout the day or night, versus being like, you know, extra precious about, like, don't mess up this like little time where it happens. So that's where my curiosity and leanings are.
So it's it's no coincidence that this is coming up because this is something that I've been wanting to mention and talk to you about. Um, so in the Akashic reading you did with Lindsay weeks ago, month right, a while ago,
Mhm.
there was something you said, and I was just like, I don't think that's true. And what you said about yourself was you said something along the lines of, "I'm not as intuitive." You said something like, "I'm not as intuitive as I'd like to be," or I'm not so intuitive."
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that. I think you're more intuitive than you think you are because you're using that muscle with your clients all the time. And so maybe for you, yes, I would certainly protect that time that you have it where it's really present in the morning. Like I appreciate that you want to protect that. And when you're working with your clients, that, and you get a message to respond or to advise or to coach or whatever in a certain way, and the words are given to you because the words are given to you, right?
Mm,
In those moments, that's your intuition, my friend.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I want to encourage, like, if you want more of that, like if you want more of the morning energy, what I'm going to call the morning energy, if you want more of that throughout your day, the term that I'm going to use is stretch it. So that energy that you're carrying in the morning that you're feeling really present with, work on stretching that for like 30 minutes outside of that time, and then another 30 minutes. Just a little, like small increments, stretching it so that, yeah, stretching it so that it will kind of fill the rest of your day
Mm.
because that can happen.
Oh, I love that. And I
Yeah.
so appreciate you reflecting that because I think I put intuition into this very specific container that's like, oh, when I'm laying in bed and I think of someone or I get this cool idea, I think of it as this co-creational space
Hmm.
where I get ideas, or songs or
Hmm.
workshop ideas or topic ideas. And I really don't think I've held that what you're saying, which is like when I am coaching, yes, there's a craft, there's training, there's all of that. But in the moment, it is an absolutely intuitive, empathic work, like dance.
Yeah.
It's co-active.
Hmm.
It's being in co-active energy with somebody else. Um, so I think I've forgotten to include like when I'm emotionally intuitive
Hmm.
versus just the like eurekas.
Oh.
Whoopsie. Maybe because being emotionally intuitive is like so second nature to me.
Mm.
There's this other one I want to cultivate that I see. I think you do and Lindsay do, which is like really trusting the downloads or the info coming through you.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Which I wonder for you if that's any different than when you're doing your work with the students, or is it all kind of the same arena?
Um, it's kind of all the same. Uh, and there are times when I have to specifically ask. And so if I'm specifically asking for information, it's probably because I'm a little stuck and it's not automatic. That's the right word. If it's not coming through automatically and with ease, I sometimes just have to ask because it's feeling a little stuck, and I'm like, um, or if I'm not hearing it in a way that makes sense to me, where I can articulate it to the person across from me, that's different. That also happens. Um, but it's all coming from the same place.
I like that. I think I've been compartmentalizing
Yeah.
the different, aspects of that.
Yeah, and there's no need to do that. Yeah. Because when we compartmentalize, we're boxing everything, right? And if we're boxing everything, it can't flow. So remove all those things from the boxes that you might be putting them in the word that you're using is compartmentalizing. So if so remove things from the boxes so that information and that energy can flow freely back and forth. Yeah.
That feels really good. Yeah, it's like, okay, the morning liminal ahas, tracking honey and being attuned to him, working with my clients and being emotionally, empathic. Like all of that's sort of the same source energy
Yeah.
in different costumes.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Feels really expansive. Thank
Mm.
you. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. I feel like I'm such a bullet points kind of person sometimes,
Mm.
that like compartmentalizing and putting things in order. And I wonder for our audience if anyone's feeling that, like, wow, sometimes when I put everything in too much order, like you said, I kink the hose on the fact that it's all just one field.
Yeah. Yeah. Um I would say that if you are someone who bullet points, and if you're someone who's super organized and has to kind of control certain things or whatever, um, that will limit you. It will limit you. And I'm not saying that you won't be able to receive information, but it will limit the information and it will limit your mind to receiving in all the different ways that it comes through and the different and how can I say this, and the information itself. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Sure,
So
what can trickle in, you mean? Like
yes,
what's going to be received or receptive?
yes, and all the tentacles that are attached to that information, because there's a lot happening when we're receiving from spirit. There's a lot that's happening simply and just organically. It's happening, and oftentimes when I'm receiving, I have to kind of like rein it because there's so much. I have to rein it in. Like I literally have to say, okay, stop, rein it in so I can make sense of everything and then deliver the information. Um, and it took me, I mean, I've been doing this for over 10, 12 years, and it took me a while to figure out how to do, like, what worked best for me and then what also worked best for the person across from me that I'm delivering the information to. And it was kind of like a dance for a while. I was like, okay, I'm getting my feet, just kind of get my balance and figuring that whole thing out. And now it's like conversation, and it's a lot easier than it was when I was beginning. But I never compartmentalized because I didn't even know, I don't even know that that was part of my vocabulary because everything was coming in from so many different places and energies anyway. And I was just like, okay, here I am, and having to hold and create space for all that. It can be a lot. Um, I hope that's helpful.
Oh my God, it's super helpful.
Oh, okay.
I'm like craving a workshop day
Oh,
to
I would love to do one with you. That would be so much. Yeah. My
like
God.
practice it and feel into it, because I do think for those of us, I'll speak for myself, who organize to feel safe,
Yeah.
right? It is limiting for sure. It's going to have its limitations. And this other expansive view that you're sharing, where I'm like kind of swimming in it a little, like being able to swim in like a lake and
Mm.
feel the water everywhere and just be like, oh, it's all the same. Where I've really only qualified that morning liminal state as me being intuitive. So it's like,
Hmm.
oh, there's only this little morsel of time where I do that. And just your reflection is super helpful. You're like, oh no, I kind of do that all day.
Yeah.
I just am not onto myself in that way.
Hmm.
Um, and I will share, I know there are some days where I don't feel particularly on. I might be in conflict with my partner
Hmm.
or hormonal or just like not a good night's sleep or multitude of reasons. And I will say before a session, I'll take that 10-15 minutes to slow down, to like close all the tabs, to maybe even look at my clients' notes from the last session, just to be like with them before I'm with them.
Hmm.
But I will be like, okay, Debbie, if you feel like coming in and coaching a little, like I'm open to your help today
Hmm.
because I'm not 100%. I'm going to
Yeah.
give 100%, but I don't feel 100%. So I'm totally okay with your intuitive hits, you know, kind of folding into mine to serve in service
Hmm.
to a client's breakthroughs. I'm
Yeah.
kind of feeling like cheeky about like, oh yeah, okay, where else can I collect evidence, let's say, which is important that I do that.
Hmm.
Right? It's sort of a way I teach confidence with clients. It's like, okay, you've been collecting this evidence. Now try collecting the opposite, because it's probably there as well.
Right.
Yeah, workshop, please. It'd be really cool to learn from you or just
Mm.
learn how you navigated learning about yourself and how it
Mm.
works.
Mm.
Mm.
And the other, I think because you mentioned emotions, right? I think another important piece, and this is just fact, that our emotions, like you can't have spirituality or relationship with spirit without having a relationship with your emotions. It doesn't exist. So if you're going to if you want to have the most optimum relationship with yourself as a whole, it's to work on these together, because this is I feel like because I've gotten so much better emotionally and I've healed so much of myself, that my relationship with spirit has it's happened. And I when I say it's easy, it's I realize it's not easy for everyone, but you can't do one without the other. You can't have one without the other. So if you are attaining, if you are wanting to have a relationship with spirit, but you're not willing to work on yourself and your emotional health and heal all the stuff, it's a moot point. You're wasting your time because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really like important point because I think there's a lot of spiritual bypass in a lot of that spiritual community. Like, oh, I'm just gonna have a positive mindset and I'm gonna intuit and I'm gonna do these things, which I totally understand the MO
Hmm.
behind. And I know for me, having a coach, having multiple resources and support and allies, you included, Lindsay included, um, that as I continue to clear out the emotional debris in my psyche, there's more capacity for me to hold others. There's more capacity for me to have compassion for the things that I see in the world. Um, it altogether makes me like more big-hearted
Mm.
and able to maybe not be okay with, but understand certain
Hmm.
things. And every time I do my work, it almost immediately trickles and transfers to my clients. quietly, seismically,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden I've got a little bit more of me online.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit more of my power online, and I'm serving from another, like, up leveled seed, whether they know it or not. And I think they can sense it. But I know it. I know all of a sudden I have a little bit more inner authority, not like authority, but like that
Sure.
inner knowing,
Hmm.
that place that can teach or, like you said, intuit as I
Hmm.
go. I don't think I could have things I want in my life if I was not doing emotional work.
Yeah.
That's a really big deal because I think there are people who, like, you can get to a lot of success without doing emotional work as it relates to maybe a career,
Hmm.
the car, the yacht, the house, you know, I'm
Hmm.
going to call it like societal
Hmm.
things. But the place it'll bite you in the ass is in your relationships.
Yeah.
That's where the light will shine, if nowhere else.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it's shining somewhere and giving you,
Hopefully.
you know,
Yeah.
but people can get really far in their success and their careers and things.
Hmm.
But without the emotional work, their relationships
Yeah.
will
We'll
suffer.
suffer.
I mean, I would say mine suffered before I did my work.
Hmm. Sure. And most importantly, relationships with themselves. Because that's the most, hands down, the most important relationship that any of us on this planet Earth will have, ever have. And if we're not right with ourselves, we can't be right with anyone else.
Mm. I want
Hmm.
that in schoolrooms.
Me too. Me
I
too.
learned about like freaking Napoleon, man. Like, what, what? I mean, no offense, because that history was cool, but like, what of this world? What of a class? Could you imagine one of your classes every year being emotional regulation,
Oh my
stress
God.
management? I imagine some schools, I'm thinking California maybe, or
Right.
certain states, they've added like yoga to gym class
Yeah.
versus dodgeball, which was my life in gym,
I hated
which
Dodge.
was a whole other way of learning to self-regulate that wasn't
Hmm.
quite, when you're in panic, you don't learn very well.
No, dodging and hitting people with the ball and dodging to not get hit. That's not, I'm not self regulating. I am strictly in protect. I'm
Panic.
like, try not. Oh my God. All
I'd
that.
literally
Yeah.
just be like, let me just get hit with the ball so I can get out of here. I was like, oh, that one throws softly. Oh, there's my shoulder. Okay, I'm done. Because there were boys who could hit so
Oh
hard,
my God. And they did. There were
and
some
they
really mean
did.
boys.
So I'd look for the soft thrower and just throw a shoulder out and just be done with it
Hmm.
because it
Hmm.
was too alarming. But all that to
Yeah.
say, what if schools around the world taught emotional intelligence? I mean, I think kids are so still in touch with that.
They
They
are.
haven't lost the thread yet.
Yeah.
So much better than, waking up, I don't know, 40s, 50s, or 60s being like,
Who am I?
and how come I don't know myself? And
Yeah.
that's what
And
I'm
then there's
about.
some
There's a part of me
people,
that wants that education reform, like, big time in my, maybe not my lifetime complete, but it's begun.
yeah. Yeah. And I would assume that there are probably schools in Europe
Yeah.
that are doing that. They're so far ahead of us here in the United States. Um, and maybe we wouldn't have a lot of the violence and the killing that we have, and the school shootings.
All of it.
All of it. Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember working with Marianne Williamson on her congressional campaign in LA many years ago. And something she said, which stuck with me, she said, you can count the number of prison beds by the number of third graders who don't know how to read. And I just remember being like, whoa, that feels really big. And what I was getting from that and what she shared was it's not necessarily the reading, but that, Johnny, who can't read, who gets called on in class to read, who throws a chair because he's feeling ashamed or he's just been missed in the system a couple of years, or teachers just passed him along, whatever the circumstances might be, then gets detention, that gets stuck in juvenile, and then, all these things because no one actually took care of Johnny. Like the system failed, the community failed, maybe the family failed, right? All of that. And then, that's third grade, age 8, 10 years later, that's all just compounded. So it's like, wow, like Dalai Lama says, if you teach a kid to meditate by age 8, like there's a whole other beautiful cascade of things that can happen so that they aren't a national security risk later. That's our job.
Yeah.
To make sure that they get everything they need. That's the world. It's the world I want to be birthing.
Yeah. So, shall we do a chat pack question?
It's that time.
I can't believe it. It's that time. I always pull several, and then I have to choose one. Oof. Have I asked about the childhood memory?
Kind of sounds familiar.
Okay. Okay. What is the most fun you've ever had with a group of close friends?
Wow, I'm trying to jog these 42 years around in my head. To be like, ooh, group of friends. I think I'd say in my early 30s, one of my mentors is a lead singer for like a thrash metal band in New Jersey. And I've known him and the band since I was like 11 or 12 or something. So, every year kind of friendships. And I remember going to a show and not drinking a lot, but like somebody being like, oh, you got to try this Merlot, and taking a little sip. And someone's like, oh, you got to try this, cinnamon whiskey, and taking a little sip. But like the three things, even in like little sips, messed with my system because I don't have that kind of tolerance. And I didn't feel well. So I ended up on the tour bus, right? And woke up, fell asleep in Newark, woke up in Philly. Because that was the next show. Right?
Oh my goodness.
And had a new job starting the next day, and was like, what am I going to do? And they're like, we'll get you home. And just spending the whole day like frolicking, like, okay, we woke up in like some kind of like Chinatown area too. So it's like you wake up and you look through and I'm like, where are we? Like, what happened? I think just being like a part of the band, like sound check and eating like bread pudding and gumbo backstage, whatever the catering guys served, taking a nap on a couch while there was like the first band starting, and afterwards just I think shenanigans. I'm a big fan of shenanigans, right? And innocent shenanigans. People climbing weird fences, people peeing on the bushes, like we ended up in the hotel and like what's it called? The thing they put all the suitcases on.
Like a dolly kind of a thing?
But like it's a big one for like a bunch of suitcases.
Right.
Like, get on. And it's like I got on, I just like held on and got like wheeled into the elevator and then wheeled into the room. And then we just ordered pizza. I mean, it was totally
Yeah.
Like nothing crazy, but it was so joyful because it was so unexpected,
Hmm.
so out of the blue, and with people I trusted. And I think just the amount of laughter and goofiness, it's kind of like when we were really little kids.
Mm.
That lighthearted, giggling, goofy. None of us were acting our age, but we also weren't being destructive or,
Hmm.
do you know what I mean? It was just this lovely, like, anything's possible kind of. I think that's what I like about shenanigans.
Hmm.
Anything's possible, and we might get in trouble, but we're really not trying to,
Hmm.
you know? And then being part of the group of people other people are looking at,
Right.
right? Like, I'm on that thing, it's probably like 6 in the morning, and you could tell there was this whole crew of like potentially Swedish cyclists who were having breakfast, and we were getting in from a show.
Oh my God.
And just like that little energy of like, yeah, I'm a little bit more this side of
Hmm.
just like whatever the your personality might identify with.
Mm.
But I think at the heart of it, people I trust and a lot of laughter
Hmm.
feels like the big part.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
What about you? What's your one of your favorite? Tell me that one again. Favorite
What is the
memory?
most fun you've ever had with a group of close friends?
Yeah. What is the most fun you've ever had with a group of close friends?
Well, so this community that I have in the past been involved with, um, we there's a workshop that happens over a course of 3.5 days, and I have volunteered for it over 30 times, just because I really believe in the work and it's really awesome. So yeah, yeah. So so it starts Thursday evening, it goes Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, and we finish around 9. But on Saturday night, the volunteers, we have what we call team party. And let me just preface this by saying one of the things we agreed to over the course of the weekend is that we don't put any substances into our bodies that might affect our we can drink coffee, but there's no, anything else. So anyway, so we are very sleep deprived.
That's the best.
I am punch drunk. I mean, oh my God, it's so ridiculous. And so what we do at Team Party is we create skits about the weekend and funny things that have happened. And so when everyone is in the state of punch drunk because we're so tired, and it's now the party starts around 11:30 and usually finishes up around 1. And we're so tired, but every at that point everything is funny. Oh my God, that's just like I have literally walked out with my jaw sore from laughing in my head, just, you know, but that's like laughing at just at the silliest, most innocent things. It's just the best. And then it's even more fun when there's someone who's a really good laugher. You know
Yes.
what
Yes. Totally. The contagious, the
Yes.
infectious laugh
Oh
person.
God. It's the best. It's the best. Oh my God. And I have one friend who often she'll just start cracking up, and then she'll look at me to start, and then we just kind of get the room going. Oh my God. It's the best. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I've experienced that many, many times because I've, volunteered for this thing a lot. So um and I would say it's probably one of my favorite things about the weekend, just kind of letting off steam um and the collective. It's just yummy, for a lot of reasons. So
Mm.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder too, it's making me think just the common thread between both of our relatings being this what I'm feeling is like this absolute innocent openness
Mm,
that laughter allows, right? Like to laugh from that place, like the my stomach hurts laughter
right.
or my cheeks hurt laughter, but like at that really genuine place. For me, that's like a really safe place. I feel really safe if I'm doing that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because just like every emotion across the board is pretty vulnerable, and laughter and humor is also really vulnerable. Like, in order for me to feel, just like you said, safe enough to laugh from the depths of my gut, for example, right now,
Right.
it takes a level of trust to feel safe to do that in a certain space. Yeah.
Which helps me make sense of like that's why it's one of my favorite memories because the depth of trust
Right.
and the like I'm totally safe, okay, I start a new job in a day and a half and I trust that I'm gonna like they're gonna make sure I get to where I
Mhm.
need to
Mhm.
go and all that stuff. But the it just feels really important to say because I'm thinking of relationships, where couples have stopped laughing and it's like, oh, it's the reverse.
Yeah.
They no longer feel safe. You can't just be like, oh, let's lighten up and laugh at something. Like there's some work to be done.
There's some
But
work
that
to do.
that sweet place where like it's like laughing unabashedly, maybe that's the
Mhm.
right word.
Mhm.
That unabashed makes me think of when I was younger,
Yeah. Yes.
more free spirited and
Not
excited
a
to get the milk duds at the movie theater with my bestie to go
Mhm.
watch a Brad Pitt movie.
Mhm.
Just like the goofiness and the but like innocence of that.
Yeah.
That feels really good to me to still have at this age.
Yeah. Oh, it's I for me it's vital for me to have that. Really important and really vital for my life force
Mhm.
because I feel like humor is healing in a million ways and really important to humanity.
It's got the same etymological start,
Yeah.
human and humor,
Yeah.
right? I love that.
Yeah.
Good medicine.
Ah, really good medicine. Yeah. Yay.
Thank you, my love, and thank you
Thank
to our
you.
audience and whoever is hopefully served, supported, inspired, uh, thought provoked, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Thank you all for like just letting us into your home and listening in, and love to see any comments or any questions, anything you're relating to or resonating with, and even like if you're not resonating with something, like I'm open to hearing that. Are you?
You too. Yeah.
If someone has a different opinion
Hmm.
or different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thanks.
Mm.